All throughout our facility, we engage in a safe practice called lockout-tagout when performing service or maintenance to any piece of powered equipment. In the next few slides, we will be discussing what you need to know about lockout-tagout, emergency stops, our CA rooms, and confined spaces. Lockout-tagout is intended to control machines and hazardous energy while maintenance or service is being performed. A series of safety measures is taken to ensure that the machine which is being worked on cannot be started by accident while being serviced. During this time, the machine will be inoperable until authorized personnel has checked off on it and the lockout-tagout protocol has been removed. The affected employees play an important role in the lockout-tagout process. First, they're the ones who must notify the maintenance personnel when equipment needs to be repaired or serviced. When the machinery is being serviced, the affected employees must leave all lockout-tagout machines or equipment in place. They must verify with authorized personnel or their supervisor to ensure that the machinery or equipment is safe to operate after lockout-tagout procedures have been completed. In addition, the affected employees must ensure that all safety guards are in place and properly functioning. And finally, all safety rules and procedures must be followed when operating the machinery or equipment. Authorized employees are the only employees who can perform lockout-tagout procedures and attach or remove locks and tags. No other employee may do so. Authorized or trained personnel can repair or perform any maintenance needed on equipment. And lastly, authorized personnel can test equipment to ensure that any residual energy is dissipated and place any warning tags on equipment that may inadvertently start up when any of the machines or equipment is being serviced or repaired. There are two different types of e-stop buttons around the Allen Brothers production facility. Main e-stop buttons have a yellow metal guard around them. These e-stop buttons will shut off power to the entire production line. The other e-stop buttons, or secondary e-stops, generally start or stop the machine or conveyor belts in the area that you may be currently working in. Although they can be used for emergency purposes, they're intended to be used as a tool for production or routine operational control. Keep in mind, main e-stops shut down the entire production line. These buttons are located in every building and are in place to prevent accidents. Press the button if you or anyone around you is in serious danger or is already being caught by a machine. You should also press this button if you can prevent someone else from becoming seriously injured. In most cases, the person that's pressed the main E button will be the one pulling it back out. If you've pressed it, contact your supervisor or lead and let them know what has happened. The supervisor or lead will then contact a mechanic. If you happen to press it by mistake or misread the potential danger, let your supervisor or lead know that you've pressed it. Mistakes do happen, but we're better off being safe than sorry. And lastly, you should not press these buttons for the use of food control. There are secondary e-stop buttons in place to control the machinery you may be currently working at that will not shut off the power to the entire production line. Throughout the production process, we have secondary e-stop buttons set in place for individual areas that can help with the speed and control of the fruit in which you're handling. If for any reason you find yourself getting backed up, you can use these buttons to help clear your area. Keep in mind, these buttons should only be utilized if you need to ask for help, as they're not intended to be used very often. Doing so will only slow down the process of the entire production line. Many workplaces contain areas that are considered confined spaces. While they're not necessarily designed for people, they're large enough for workers to enter and perform certain jobs. A confined space also has limited or restricted means for exit or entry, and it is not designed for continuous occupancy. The majority of confined spaces here at Allen Brothers are permit required. We do, although few, have non-permit required confined spaces. Training and authorization is required to enter any permit required confined space. We cannot stress this enough. Do not enter any confined space if you have not been trained or given proper authorization to do so. Lack of oxygen or excess of another airborne chemical could be present, making the confined space a potential lethal hazard. CA rooms, also known as controlled atmosphere rooms, is where Allen Brothers stores and keeps their apples fresh for worldwide consumption. A controlled atmosphere is a storage method in which the concentrations of oxygen, carbon dioxide, and nitrogen, as well as the temperature and humidity of the storage rooms, are regulated. These rooms are under restricted access, and only properly trained individuals with approved respiratory protection will be allowed to enter these rooms. These rooms will not sustain human life without proper training and approved respiratory equipment, so it's imperative to stay out. When a CA room is under low oxygen conditions, it will be marked with safety placards indicating that the environment will not support human life. Entering these rooms without proper respiratory equipment will cause death. Authorized personnel will manage the permit required confined spaces entry to ensure that the employees are safe. Allen Brothers will provide atmospheric testing, personal protective equipment, training, and technical assistance to ensure a safe working environment for the employees in order to perform their assigned tasks.